Friends, we are very happy to inform you that e-modules are prepared for B.Ed program at Telangana by the School of Education, Osmania University under Pandit Madan Mohan Malaviya National Mission on Teachers and Teaching Scheme MHRD New Delhi. It's indeed our pleasure to share with the teacher educators and the prospective teachers and get maximum benefit out of it. It's a first of its attempt by us. We continue to add many more such lessons to share with you all.
Hello friends and welcome to today's session. The content of this module, that is Curriculum Development Part 2, is prepared and submitted by Mrs. Atiya, Assistant Professor, Islamia College of Education. And I am Khaiser Banu, working as Assistant Professor at Princess Dure Shehwar College of Education for Women, shall be going on with the presentation. Let us see the objectives of the topic which I am dealing. In today's topic, we have curriculum design, principles of curriculum construction, stages in designing the curriculum, curriculum design, types of curriculum design, principles of curriculum construction, okay, and also the summary, glossary, self-assessment references, in our presentation. Now let us see the objectives of today's topic. After completion of this module, student teacher will be able to understand the concept and the need for curriculum design. Student teachers will get oriented with different types of curriculum design and learn about the steps in designing the curriculum. Student teachers will get well acquainted with the principles of curriculum constructions. Or what do we mean by curriculum design? So curriculum design is a term used to describe purposeful, deliberate and systematic organization of curriculum. That is nothing but the instructional blocks within a class or course. In other words, it is a way for teacher to plan their instructions. When teachers design a curriculum, they identify what will be done, who will do it, and what schedule to follow. So what are the major defects of today's curriculum or the defects of present curriculum? First is that, exam oriented. You are assessed or evaluated only with your or mostly with the pen and paper examination. Textbook based examination. You have been given the syllabus and you have the textbooks for you, you prepared, and exams are from the textbook only, You have examination based on the textbook. Emphasis on theory, not on practical. You are given ample, emphasis on theory and less of practical examination. The syllabus which is prescribed is heavy. It is, not readily acceptable or not willingly accepted by the learners, They find it more taxing, stressed. Rote learning is encouraged, We don't give freedom for the individual expression of the student. Student mostly mug up, rote memorize the answers. You don't allow the students to come out with their what, how, if of the concept. You are given questions and answers, they are mugging up and they are representing in the examinations. Not life oriented. We are not making the student, the learning or the outcome life oriented. There are people who are not strong enough to take up the hardships of the life. The education doesn't, if they happen to get less marks in the examination, they even go to the suicidal tendencies, or they even go to the extent of killing themselves. So education or the curriculum does not make life, does not make us life oriented. It doesn't teach us to be strong as an individual to take up the hardships of the life. Not helpful for vocation. As soon as you are done with your coursework, it should give you livelihood. There should be a vocation for it. You should take up job. It is not developing the whole personality. There are students who are so immense with the content, they absorb the content, but they lack in presenting it. They lack those skills of presenting, but they are highly intelligent students. So these were the major defects that we have discussed now regarding the present curriculum. Now what is the designing? The designing the curriculum needs to be into account of the following major factors which is based for the curriculum. How should you design the curriculum? What should you keep in mind before you design the curriculum? So learners and their cognitive level you must keep in mind. Learning experiences you must keep in mind. Social and cultural demand and the content of the discipline. So learning should not be taxing, it should be enjoyable, playful. Based on the design, you have three types of curriculum. The first one is subject-centered curriculum. In this type of curriculum, curriculum design is the most common type of standardized curriculum. It revolves around a subject matter or discipline. It focuses on the subject. It is found in higher secondary education. It is not subject centered, and the model is less concerned with the individual learning styles. So subject centered curriculum deals or focuses on the subject. It is not dealing with the types of learning strategies or individual learning strategies. So learner centered curriculum. A curriculum should be designed keeping in view the interest of the learner, keeping in view the cognitive levels of the learner, the readiness of the learner, how best learner can learn. Learner-centered curriculum design revolves around students' needs and interests. It aims to empower learners to shape their education through choices. Differentiated instructional plan provides an opportunity to select assignments, teaching learning experience or activities. The drawback to this form of curriculum design is that it can create pressure on the educator to source material specific to students' learning needs. So learner-centered curriculum design caters to it surrounds around the student and its interest. The only drawback of this method is the educators, it gives ample, it taxes the educator. There is a pressure on educators to meet the students' learning needs. There is a pressure on her. She should cater to the individual needs of learning needs of the student. So what is learning centered curriculum design? Learning centered curriculum design is a student centered approach in which student learns about a subject by working in groups to solve an open-ended problem. Learning centered curriculum give ample scope for the learner to exercise their own skills. This problem is what derives the motivation and the learning. Okay. So this mostly, learning centered curriculum design teaches students how to look at a problem and formulates a solution, encourage creativity, innovation and collaboration in the classroom. Okay. So learning centered curriculum meets with the 21st century skills. It emphasizes on collaborative learning, innovation, in teaching and learning process. The only drawback is that this format is that it doesn't always consider individual styles, it doesn't consider the individual styles of learning. What should be the steps involved in curriculum design? So Hilda Taba, a curriculum theorist, a reformer and a student of John Dewey, has designed a 7-step model of curriculum development, where she has spoken about 7 steps. For her, it should be the teacher who should design the curriculum rather than the higher authorities, because she feels when the teacher is involved in carrying out the curriculum, okay, she should be given space in designing the curriculum also. She recommended the following systematic steps or stages in her model of curriculum development. So it is a 7-step model which she has come up with. Explanation of Hilda Taba's model of curriculum development. The first step is identifying the needs of students for whom the curriculum is planned. First, we must identify to whom are you preparing the curriculum. So identify the needs for the students for whom the curriculum is to be planned. The second step is, after the teacher has identified the needs that required attention, he or she specifies the objectives to be accomplished. Once you identify the needs, then appropriately you specify the objectives. Then third comes the selection of the content. The objectives selected or created suggest the subject matter or the content of the curriculum. Step 4 is the organization of content. A teacher cannot just select content, but must organize it in some types of sequences taking into consideration. That is, taking into consideration the maturity of the learners, their academic achievements and their interests. Okay. So in step 4 we are dealing with the organization of the content, okay, and also the level of maturity or level of the learners, their academic achievements and their interest, keeping in mind the learners level of maturity, their academic achievements and also the interest. Step 5, selection of learning experiences. At this step, teacher takes decision about learning experiences, that is, the various activity associated, how best the learner can execute or how best the learner can learn. What are the activities you can incorporate through which the learning will be more enjoyable, like role play, cooperative or team learning, lectures, etc. Which can be incorporated into the subjects taught. Step 6, organization of learning experiences. Just as content must be sequenced and organized, so much the learning activities should also be. Often the sequences of the learning activity is determined by the content, but the teacher needs to keep in mind the particular students whom he or she will be teaching. So the various strategies which the teacher should use in her teaching learning process, teachers should organize their teaching learning experiences. Step 7 deals with the evaluation, determination of what to evaluate and the ways and means how should you be dealing with it. So Hilda Taba's 7-step model of curriculum development start with diagnosis of needs, formulating objectives, selecting content, organizing content which involves key concept, main ideas, facts. Then the 5th step is selecting learning experiences. 6th step is organizing learning experiences, teaching strategies for cognitive development, teaching strategies for effective development, and the last step is the evaluation process. And then we are dealing with the principles of curriculum development. How should the curriculum be? What should be the principles? What are the pillars on which the curriculum construction is based? During planning for curriculum construction, some important principles are to be borne in mind. Mostly the logical sequencing, the logical sequences, difficulty level of the class or the grade, and the interest of the learner and plurality of experiences are essential guidelines for curriculum construction. And some of the principles which is listed are: curriculum should be, principle of child or learner centered. The next principle is principle of community centeredness, principle of experience, activity centeredness, principle of integration, forward looking principle, principle of elasticity, flexibility, principle of creativity, principle of utilization of leisure, principle of value integration, and the last principle is interdisciplinary principle. So the principles which are used and required, and is must in curriculum construction starts with child-centeredness and then ends on interdisciplinary principles. Now we shall go in detail about each of these principles. So principle of child-centeredness. So the curriculum which you have designed or the curriculum which is developed should be child-centered. Since child is the receiver, child is learning, receiving, and enhancing his skills. So a curriculum should be designed keeping in view, the child. It should be child-centered. The curriculum should be child-centered. It should be based on the child's needs, interest, mental abilities, age and circumstances. The child should be the central figure in any curriculum development plan. The next principle is the principle of community centeredness. when we are designing the curriculum, the social, the local interest of the people should be considered. It should be made use of the available resources in the society and create a common system of education to meet the needs of individuals in society. So, the curriculum should have the principle of child-centeredness, the principle of community-centeredness, the principle of experiences. The curriculum should give ample scope for the children to exercise hands-on experience, activity centers, activity centeredness, experiential learning by doing. Because when you learn by doing, your retention ability capacity is longer. You will not forget easily when you involve yourself. So, learning by doing should form the basis of curriculum construction. The curriculum should not only include academic subjects, but also the totality of experience that a child receives through conducting several school activities like the debate, discussions, skit dramas, comparing, anchoring, where collaborative learning, team learning happens, etc. So, principle of integration, the curriculum should integrate the students' activities and the needs on hands-on experience. That is the need of 21st century democracy on the other hand. So, the needs, the 4 C's which are highly crucial and which are the skills of 21st century students, it should the curriculum should have principle of integration in it. The curriculum development should contain one of the principles as principle of integration. It should be based on the principle of satisfying the needs of individuals and also the society. Forward-looking principle. Education is to enable the child to lead a successful social life. So, the curriculum should not only cater to the present needs of the society alone, but also cater to the needs of his future life. It should develop the child's ability and power to make effective adjustments in later life. When you have enrolled your course and successfully passed the course, so it should also fetch you with the good employment, and there should be employment oriented, a good career oriented settlement in life. So, you should be given ample scopes to exercise your skills. So, the curriculum should make you independent and it should make you independent and also self-dependent. Principle of elasticity and flexibility. The curriculum should not be rigid, it should be flexible. Flexibility in the curriculum construction is required to get the desired change according to the changing needs, time, demands, etc. So, when it is rigid, it is very hard, to amend, to bring in changes. It should be flexible to adopt the changing settings. The curriculum should be based on the principle of creativity. It should not be monotonous. There should be creativity in it. The student should not feel as a boredom. They must enjoy experiencing it. They must enjoy learning it. They must be involving themselves. The curriculum should place the pupil in the place of the discoverer, and provision must be made for creative activities. Projects and work experience in all subjects will enable students to involve freely in various activities to develop creativity in them. So the 8th principle is the principle of utilization of leisure. So students should develop, a good habit formation to utilize their leisure. The principle of the utility of leisure is the obligation for the curriculum framers to ensure proper and adequate utilization of learner leisure time productively. Subjects like socially useful and productive work experiences, work in education are the best examples of this principle of curriculum development. Students should learn to utilize their leisure. They must be engaged with socially useful productive work. There are many things that the student will learn to exercise, okay, in their leisure time, and utilize their leisure very usefully. The leisure must be utilized to their best possible way. Then only they will have, they'll be more creative. The students can be engaged in gardening and planting trees, and also there is making cards, posters, and also some of the it should be some of the home science work. You have cookery, you have gardening, you also have tailoring. There should be curriculum should enable students to take up of their interest, any such skills, so that they can utilize leisure in their best possible way. Principle of value integration, value is diminishing in present scenario, value system must be strong. Value degradation in society, institution, households, etc. is a commonly experienced culturally deprivation in the present time. So you don't find, the value system is slowly disappearing. We must make a curriculum such that we produce productive citizens, citizens whose values are much stronger. The blind faith in the westernization, influence of modernity, and disrespect of the past, including elders, are some of the thorny issues in the contemporary world, including India. The prime responsibility to handle the issues is with the education sector. Hence, the curriculum framer should keep the value orientation at the forefront while preparing it. So, the curriculum should be made with these principles, keeping in mind the principles which is discussed, and they should give space for principle of value integration. It should be a must for everybody. Every student's value system should be upright. Once they are their value system is strong, then all those ill things which is happening, it will wipe off. Once you are correct to yourself and you are walking on the right path, then there is less or no ill things happening around. So the curriculum development should also take into consideration a very valuable interdisciplinary principle. The present time education is not just about knowledge of one subject, but more about how one subject is related to other subject and vice versa. The more students grow in higher studies, the more dependency of interdisciplinary begins from the quest of a vast knowledge domain. So, the curriculum should be such that there should be interdisciplinary principle. You are learning a course. It is not just, you're going with your course. You can integrate your course with, the other disciplines also. I hope you are understanding pertaining to what curriculum design is, the types of curriculum design, curriculum development, Hilda Taba's 7-step curriculum development, the principles of curriculum development which I have discussed with you today is clear. Okay. Thank you.